What is the best way to getting the most gems inside of Pets Go? Currently, there are plenty of methods in Pets Go to making tons of gems, including grinding in areas like the brand new thieving area, grinding in areas like the mining area, or even just standing still in the middle of nowhere. You can make tons of gems, and it's pretty simple on how. And in this video, I'll explain every single method that I do that makes me the most and that can make you even more gems if you do it a lot more. Anyways, the first method is really simple. Essentially, what you want to do is have 2 game passes in the game, and this is required for this method to work. Now, clearly, the 2 game passes are pretty known by now, and that is going to be the Diamond Printer Game Pass and the 12 Dice Game Pass. Now, there's different variants of this Dice Game Pass. Obviously, the 12 Dice is the best of the variants, but essentially, what this is when you roll in the game with the Diamond Printer Game Pass, essentially, you just print diamonds out of thin air, and the more pets you have rolling at the same time, the more diamonds you actually receive from grinding in the game. Now, obviously, not everyone is going to be able to have this particular game passes in line with their grinding in the game. Therefore, this method only works with players who actually have enough Robux to spare for such items in this game. Now, the second method is actually really simple and does not require you to have these particular game passes. Although, if you do have these game passes, you can pair it with this method and make yourself double as much profit. The second method is going to be by grinding in brand new areas that are added into the game, whether they be limited areas that are only in the game for a couple of weeks, or even permanent areas like this particular thieving area, where you can get items and make tons of gems from selling them in the plaza later on. How it works is pretty simple. Essentially, in an area like the thieving area, when you stand in these particular grinding areas, there is a chance for you to grab these items, which will reward you with coins in your inventory. Those coins can be exchanged for limited items, or in this case permanent items, such as these particular chests, which you can buy with those coins, or in this case they're artifacts, and make yourself some profits by selling them in the trading plaza. Now, obviously, that world is not new anymore, and you have probably seen it before if you played this game a lot, but there are also other worlds in the game that you can grind in, make tons of gems in, and sell them in the plaza for more profits. So how it works is simple. You grind in the world, then you use those items and try to buy these particular chests, which you could sell in the plaza and make some gems. That's right, those 2 aren't the only 2 areas. There's also another area called the fishing area. You may have heard of it. Essentially, this area is even more simple. You just stand here. You don't even have to sell anything or buy coins. You just stand here and fish and get a bunch of items, which you could sell in the plaza and make tons of gems also. Sadly, since the fishing area has been added in the game for a very long time now, most likely you won't make that much profit from selling those chests. So therefore, I would recommend the other 2 areas like the mining or the thieving area, or if they ever have event worlds, grind in those worlds because usually they are super profitable. Now, what else can you make profit from in the game if you don't only want to just grind in those areas? Well, there's plenty of other spots in the game where you can make profits. Now, the next method used to be super good and will make you well off if you grind it enough. Essentially, what you want to do is go over to this particular juicer machine, click on the Insta Luck 4, and craft these pets into the Insta Luck 4 potion. Essentially, these potions used to be worth a ton of gems. Now they're unfortunately only worth 16k for 2 of them, but when they were worth a lot, you can make tons and tons of gems from using this machine. Obviously, if you are a new player and you don't have any gems, but you do have a lot of pets, go to this machine. You will make profits if you make that particular potion. Well, that's pretty much it for this normal world. If you're trying to make profit in here, essentially without the Diamond Printer Game Pass and the 12 dice, you are not going to make it that far. So I would suggest buying those game passes if you have the funds to do so. They will make you profit in this particular normal world if you grind a lot. Anyways, assuming you don't want pets, and you actually want a ton of gems, we have to actually go to the trading plaza in order for that to happen if these methods aren't the best for you. So now that we are in the trading plaza, what do you actually want to do? Well, first and foremost, you want to set up a booth somewhere in the game. Now, how do you know what to sell in the booth, what prices to sell, and which prices and which items are going to be the best for you? Well, there's obviously going to be a specific type of item that most players will focus on, and that would be huges inside of the game. Now obviously huges have a high demand depending on the volume of huges that exist. Some huges have a very high scarce amount, which means that the existence is really low. While on the other hand, there are huges like this Valentine bear or the llama that aren't worth necessarily as much, and therefore not worth as much gems, as you can clearly see. So to determine which pets are the best for you to sell, you have to actually determine what kind of market you are trying to target. Now obviously, there are going to be those players who actually want to buy quality huges of low existence, of scarcity, or they're really cool and rare. Therefore, if you buy those high tier huges, you could sell them for a significant amount of profit. There's also high quantities of players who just like to buy low tier huges in order to have huges to grind inside of the normal world, as I previously showed earlier. So which one is the best for you and which one should you do? Well, inside of the trading plaza, there are always going to be players that buy and sell items. If you are going to buy huges to flip and you prefer to buy low tier huges, yes, you are going to have a lot more customers, but the sad thing with low tier huges is obviously since they're low tier, you aren't going to make that much profit because the price margin between how much you buy it for and how much you sell it for is going to be really small. Sometimes the profit margins are as low as 100,000 gems per huge you sell, which is pretty low in my opinion, as 100,000 gems is really easy to earn inside of the normal world if you have the diamond printer and the 12 dice game pass. Now assuming you don't have those particular game passes, yes, this is pretty profitable, but for players who do have the game passes, I would suggest you grind in the normal world and don't even worry about the trading plaza if you're only trying to sell low tier huges. Now if low tier huges make you so little profits, is there other items that can make you more profits? Well yes, there's always going to be items that will make you profit, some more than others, but essentially if you're trying to buy huges and sell them for more, you do have to be in the plaza a lot and be very patient, as there usually is a couple of players occasionally who join the plaza and sell tons of huges that are low tier for way cheaper than the actual value, which will essentially allow you the opportunity to sell them for a higher cost inside of the game. But what other items aside from huges make you profits? Well, currently in the market, there is this one particular item that every player can get for free if you play the game at a certain time of the week. That's right, the item is called the hype egg, and essentially what this particular egg is when you play inside of the game on update day, which is the update time that the game has. Essentially there's a timer at the bottom right of your screen. It tells you when the next update in the game is, and if you play during that particular period of time, you will be rewarded with an egg called the hype egg. Now, how do you actually make profit off this hype egg? Well, essentially with this particular egg, as you do get it for free, so do many other players, and what happens is when there's an influctuation of eggs in the game with high quantities, the price obviously goes down, as it's basic economics. When supply goes up, the quantity of demanded goes down. And how do you actually make profit off this particular trade-off? Well, essentially what happens is when the prices go down, the recommendation is for you to actually buy those eggs and sell them later on. How it works is you buy them on, for say Saturday, which is the day of the updates usually, or Friday, and using those eggs, you hold them in your inventory in bulk until a day like Tuesday, which is a couple days later, when the quantity supplied has dropped a bit, since most people that get the eggs actually open them. With a lower supply and a remaining demand for those eggs, some people buy them at a higher cost, which is usually the case, giving you that opportunity to make profits in between. Many players inside of the Pet Simulator community and the Pets Go community have mentioned to me that this particular method makes them roughly 250,000 gems per egg they sell, which if you multiply that by a high quantity, you will make significant profits. Now that is an example of one item in the game that will make you profits. Clearly there is many other items that will give you that opportunity also. Unfortunately, I'm not the best with every particular pet and item, so I would suggest you trade and try to see which items make you the most profit, what items do you think will work the best for you, and essentially, whatever works the best for you will be up to you to decide, because I personally don't have any items that will guarantee make you profit, but there are items that work the best for some people and don't work at all for others. So I would suggest you play around a little bit. Now, as I did mention earlier about high tier huges, this is an example of a high tier huge. Now, as you can see, this particular pet has a tag of 10, which means it is the 10th pet to ever be added into the game of this rarity and this type. As you can see on this particular pet, there is only 94 that exist, essentially meaning that there's only 94 of this particular item inside of the entire game, meaning that out of every player, only 94 people have this pet. So obviously with such high scarcity, there's obviously going to be a high price tag. Now this person is selling the pet for 475 million gems, which according to the wrap of the pet is supposed to be a good deal, but is it actually a good deal? Well, that's a great question. To know if this pet is a good deal, you will essentially have to determine what the demand for this particular pet is. Now, yes, as it is a really expensive pet, the demand for it is going to be super low. Therefore, it's most likely going to take you a super long time to sell, but when you do sell it, you want to be given that opportunity to make the most amount of profits in between. So the best way, I would suggest knowing what to buy and what to sell, especially if you're trying to do high tier huges and high tier items and trades, is by actually playing the game a lot, meeting with a lot of others that do the same stuff as you, which is trade high stuff, trade a lot in the game, and you will start to learn what items have value, how much value they have, and all that information in between. Now, similar to math and other subjects that require you to practice a lot, trading is the same as that and will require you to actually put your fingers in, spend some gems, and play around with it a bit to determine what will make you the most profit and what works the best for you. Well, nothing obviously will guarantee you a fixed amount of profits. There is methods that will make you a lot more than others, so you have to determine what is the best for you. But essentially, this is for you to determine what is the best. I've tried to give as many advice as possible that will help you get better. Hopefully they will help you out in the game. But other than that, thanks for watching this video, by the way. And if you have any questions or need any other suggestions that may help you out in the game, let me know down below. If anything wasn't clear in this video or explained incorrectly, please ask down below in the comments and I'll try to explain it a little bit more clearly. Other than that, I will see you guys all in the next video. Peace.